Hey, people, listen, welcome into the building. We have been trying to do this final episode of the show Dear Mama, which had it was a 5-part series on FX. If you have FX, and if you didn't have FX, you could have watched it on Hulu, right? So we're finally getting to do this 5th episode, and it was heavy. It was very emotional. I'm trying to get myself settled in the seat, y'all. I'm so sorry. It was heavy. It was emotional. But again, like I said, a good documentary. And if you did not know too much about Tupac, you would have learned a lot more from watching this 5-part documentary. I truly did enjoy it. And it also kind of saddened my heart that so many individuals die too young from senseless violence, right? And Tupac's story was definitely one of those situations where it was this senseless violence as to why he is no longer here. I want to say in the documentary, they put up a thing. He was born in 1971, right? And so that would have made him about 52. And this man, wait till we get into this story, because he literally had written 400 unpublished songs before he died. It's crazy. It's insanity. So imagine you're 25. There are rappers out there now that can't even write one rap. They lost. This man had 400 unpublished songs at the time of his death. So I'm going to bring our peeps in the building. Okay, you know I watched this series with Royaire from Royaire's World. So Royaire, I know you can hear me. Just drop your channel in the chat there. Yes, Tupac, going too soon. So also, if you're not a subscriber of Royaire's World, go over there and subscribe, okay? And watch some videos, because he is close. He is close, okay? So close to his 4,000 hours that he needs in order to be monetized on YouTube. So y'all really do support us. And you know what? That's overwhelming that day after day, night after night, or y'all just watch our videos when we drop them. So I want to say on this Thursday, you know what? We love y'all. And
love y'all. Hey, Auntie Diva.
Hey, boo.
Listen, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the people. Y'all have just been so supportive. And you know, it's nothing but love, light, and laughter all the time with Rare's World. And it's always love and light and fun when it's Auntie Diva over here in the room, okay? Come through.
Come through, come through. Hey, Leo.
I just want
Hey
to say this.
y'all, hey Diva, hey Royaire, hey Dustin.
Hey,
Hey,
Dustin.
hey, Leo. Hey, Diva.
Hey.
Hey, Royaire. I just want to say something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I love Royaire's channel. I love Diva's channel so much. And I follow both of y'all, and I love you both so much. And
Thank you so much.
I enjoy being on the panel with you guys.
We
I love
love
you,
you,
Diva.
Dustin. We love you back. And we want to thank all of y'all for being here, because we definitely wouldn't have a show without y'all. I'm going to take a chance, guys, and it's okay, because every now and then you got to take a chance. I'm going to show y'all a little snippet before we get into this video. I'm going to take a chance for you. It's okay. We're going to take a chance.
What snippet are you showing? Is Snoop
Oh,
Dogg at the.
no, it's a little
Oh,
snippet.
okay.
We're going to do 30 seconds here. I'm
Yes,
okay?
30.
30 seconds. Okay, y'all. We want to show y'all this snippet. Now, this is Tupac's cousin. Now, his Aunt Glow, who this is his Aunt Glow's daughter, she's narrating throughout this whole series, and I fell in love with Aunt Glow. But the daughter is amazing also. This is from episode 5, okay? Until the end of time is the name of that particular episode. And let's just hear. We got to do 30 seconds. Let's do 30 seconds.
It was the fight night in Vegas. Pac didn't really want to go.
Him in that car.
The radio come on, rapper Tupac Shakur shot. Oh God. I started to cry, and Afeni said to me, "Don't let him hear you cry. He can still hear you."
All right. 22 seconds, so it's even shorter. Okay. Nubian, thank you. She said, you do 28 seconds, be safe. I thank y'all. Y'all be trying to save us, okay? Thank you. So we did 22 seconds. Hey Teresa, I'm glad we're keeping you company while you do your overtime. So I'm telling you, watch it. Didn't watch the movie or read the book. Sorry. It's okay, best IBK, because we're going to talk about it.
I didn't watch it either because I don't have Hulu, so I didn't be able to watch it. So sorry if I can't. Sorry if I don't have a lot of opinions about it, but I'm here for support.
That's fine, Dustin, and we love you supporting. Okay, so yeah, so it's just to give you a little snippet of like what the show is like. I felt like that was a good thing to kind of show y'all a little bit of. So it's like people in his life helping to narrate the story, and they talked about that night, that unfortunate night where Tupac lost his life. Okay, and I'll say this, and then Roya, you can add whatever pieces you want to add. I will say that the cousin pretty much said that at this particular time in his life, he would always go somewhere wearing a bulletproof vest. Okay. And for whatever reason, that night, Suge Knight allegedly convinced him not to wear it. Okay. Said he didn't need it. And so now Mike Tyson is also speaks in this documentary. And Mike Tyson had a very colorful life also. And Mike Tyson in this thing is brutally honest. He talks about the way that he started fighting because he was always bullied. He said he was always bullied, called fat, called all kinds of names. And one day he had enough because he said, since he didn't have no friends, he had a whole bunch of pigeons that he raised, and he felt like, those were his friends. And then the bullies came one day and snapped the neck off of one of his pigeons, threw the head at him, and then put the blood on him from the pigeon. He said he got a hold of that bully, beat him down, and then all the people were cheering because he was beating the kid down. And Mike Tyson said from that moment on, he became a fighter. He said, fighting was his superpower. It's what gave him energy. Now, he said some other stuff. Watch the documentary to find out what he said about fighting. But he brought up that story to say that wasn't Tupac. He was actually friends with Tupac. He said that wasn't Tupac. A lot of people said Tupac had a really nice side to him. Even his own family couldn't understand what turned him, so to speak, into this thug life. And I'll also add, before we all start talking, he talked about too, towards the end, Tupac didn't want nothing to do with Death Row Records. He wanted out. He wanted out. And he was talking to Suge Knight about getting out, but Suge Knight kept trying to smoozy woozy him and keep him in. And he was keeping him in because little did Tupac know that Suge Knight was robbing him blind because he didn't own none of his stuff. Suge Knight owned everything. It was a mess. But go ahead, Roya. What do you want to add?
I just want to add kind of like basically what you were saying. Tupac was really not this thug life that people were in the manner that they were putting it. He was really not that guy. And I think it goes to show by that, he moved all his family out to California. He told them, pick up your stuff in Georgia and let's go. Get back to California. I don't want to be in New York. I don't want to be in Georgia. I want to be out in California. And so, he made sure that his family was taken care of. He got a house and brought them all out there. I think where he fell short is if you've watched this series, you've kind of seen in episode 3 and 4 that he was really getting, close to Suge Knight and that whole group. They were about, that alleged, thug life of the thugs, and the gangs and all of that. So, I really feel like that's where the left turn kind of took once he joined, Suge Knight and Death Row Records, and going to prison and just having such the experience that he had at such a young age. And though he seemed mature, on the outside, I don't think he was as mature mentally as it looked on the outside to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought it was very nice.
Go ahead, Roya. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought it was very nice that Mike Tyson came in to kind of give his side of the story. And what's so funny? That there are quite a few people. We had Jasmine Guy show up this episode again. We had Mike Tyson. We had Snoop Dogg again. Everybody speaks so positively about Tupac and the influence that he had on their life.
Yes.
And I think that's what puts it back into perspective. Like I said, he was not this, gang thug life guy that, I feel like people around him was trying to create him to be. And I just love how Tyson came in and really broke that down. I was the guy that wanted to fight. I was the guy that wanted to beat you up. That was not Tupac. And it took him aback when he seen that behavior from Tupac. So
yeah, it's like Tupac almost took on the persona of the element that he was around, even though that wasn't him. But Leo, what was you about to say?
I'm just was getting ready to say the exact same thing. I don't know if y'all remember Shock G was in the documentary from the underground. Yeah, he was in there. He always said that Tupac was a chameleon. But I always go back to, because it would have been 52 this year.
Yep.
And his birthday was this past June. And you know what? 25 is extremely young, y'all. 25 is extremely young. So he was mature. He was deeply enlightened on the struggle of Black people, because he get that from his mother.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he was not immune to the influences around him.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't the type of person to just say, well, y'all getting ready to go in and get into some trouble, and I'm just going to sit back here in the hotel while y'all do that. He just wasn't that type of person. He would put his bandana on and his boots on, and he would ride out with the gangsters, even though he was not a G like that.
Right.
He was obviously not a G like that. Even though he did shoot the cops in Georgia, that's because he had the right to carry, but he still was not that dude. He did not sling dope. He was not doing that. He was not that type of dude. He never really had charges until he got them charges in New York. He just really wasn't that type of person. And I find it interesting when it comes to Mike Tyson and Jasmine Guy, how they all speak so well of Tupac 20 years later. The influence that this young man had on the people around him is immeasurable. I just don't. You know how they say a light that shines really, really bright will go out. He was like a bright light that shined overly bright, and it was over in 25 years.
Yeah. And you know what? Yes, I do remember Shock G was actually the whole episode 5. I was ready to cry the whole episode. It was a lot.
It was hard to watch.
It was hard to watch. Right? It's hard to watch. And then I got reminded that Shock D was no longer living. And then I sat up and was like, oh my God.
That's right.
What happened to him? And then I remember they found him dead somewhere, like he died at 57.
Yeah. He had an overdose.
Oh, he did.
Yes, girl. Over accidental overdose. He was somewhere in somebody's hotel and got something hot, and it took him out. He got a little extra. Sure did.
Dang. Yeah. So when I saw that and but you can tell, I almost felt like he was not right after Tupac's death. Did you
That's
see
right.
that? Did you feel that in
I
the
did.
documentary?
I
Yeah.
did.
I
I felt like it did something to him.
Yep. I felt that way too.
I
And
think it did something to a lot of them. I think a lot of them, it did something to them that they were not able to bounce back, if you may.
yeah, and then when Snoop Dogg, the thing I love about his mother, but that's probably why he was who he was, and not for nothing, that's probably why Jada can't get over him, but we ain't gonna go down that road today, okay? But I feel like his mother was so forgiving and loving, because in his final days after he got pow and he was in the hospital in the ICU or whatever the case may be, and Snoop came to see him, his mother was like, pick your head up, it's okay, go in there, talk to him or whatever the case may be. And he said, and Snoop Dogg said, I spoke to his spirit. I pretty much said, I apologize, I'm sorry, or whatever the case may be. But with these people that, when he got pow, it took his finger off. It reminded me of things that I didn't really remember or didn't care to remember, because it was so sad. It's like, here he is, he survived that first pow, which was a lot of, YouTube kills me because you can barely say stuff, but it was a lot of bullets in him. I'm just gonna say that. And then to have this second one, it's like crazy. Go ahead, Royaire.
I think this one was a little bit different because, in my opinion, it was set up the way that it happened. From how I viewed it, all of a sudden this chain gets taken, you know, after you not really being on good terms.
Oh, it
To
definitely
me,
was a setup.
yeah, I mean, but to me, how the story was told, it made it completely visible that this was a setup, everything. It was intended for him not to be here anymore. And
Well, they all
I
believe.
did not see that. I didn't expect that. That's not, this is my first time seeing the Tupac story as a whole. I've always had bits and pieces, but this is the first time that it has come together as a whole to me. And it just makes sense. They didn't want him to go out with his bulletproof vest on. They kept rushing him to get to everywhere they wanted to go. All of these things out of the norm of what he would do was just a telltale sign to me that they were asking for trouble, and set him up for trouble.
Yeah. Candace is on FX, and if you have Hulu, you can see it on either one of those platforms. And it's a 5-part series, and we're on part 5 now. So FX and Hulu, you can find it. So it just and then I want to say not one of them, the bullets hit Suge Knight that day.
No, they did.
Because they said he covered Suge Knight.
You know what? And that was
part?
news to me too.
So
yeah, that was news. That was news to me. I did not know that.
They were saying that there was another situation at a church. These people came to pow at the church, and this young man covered the older ladies and sacrificed his life for them. And that is what Tupac believed in. If he really cared for you, he sacrificed his life for you. And I think his care for the care that he thought Suge Knight had for him allowed him to protect Suge Knight the way he did. And that's why none of those bullets hit Suge Knight, because he covered him. They talked about that.
They did.
You know what though, y'all? In my young mind, it took me back, because remember now when he died, I was like 23. And so had just 2 years ago, he had got the pow in New York. I thought he was gonna live. I'm young. I'm young. He lived for 6 days.
Yeah, we all did.
He lived for 6 days. So I thought that he was going to live.
But you know what, Leo? This documentary showed us that he really wasn't living. So, and that's why the mom was just like, you know what? Because they put him on dialysis. because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't want his kidneys fail. And remember, they said that every time they would do the dialysis, he would cold.
His heart would stop.
His
Mm-hmm.
heart was sorry, he would cold, and they would have to revive him. And that's when his mother was like, "That's enough." Like
Yeah.
she didn't want him to go through that. She didn't want him to suffer anymore. And that's when she was just like, you know what? She went ahead and made the decision to pull the plug. Yeah, I forgot that he covered Suge Knight. Whew.
And I thought that was very brave of her
Yes.
to know that this is my child and my child's desire is to be free of this world.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said that to her multiple times. He said it in many songs that he had. He wanted to be free.
He did.
So the braveness of not just Afeni, but the family to support her in the decision of pulling the plug, because that's a major decision. That is major that and once you pull it, you can't come back from it.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, and then to, not just pull the plug, but then encourage others to go in there, and to say their final goodbyes. I love how Aunt Glow said when she went in, she just seen that he was at peace, and she kissed his forehead, she kissed his hands, she kissed his feet. It was a ceremony of symbolicness of releasing this individual who was ready to go anyways. And in my opinion, who was here way before his time, supposing to be here, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if he was in today's generation, he would have so much more effect versus when he came. But he left a work behind for us to continue to complete. And that's one thing that I love his mother did. She continued his legacy, but in a positive way that kept the communities going. They opened up community centers. They bought land. One scene that stood out to me was when they bought the 56 acres of land, and she said she just wished that he could have been there to just go out there and scream and holler and to throw stuff. White people, no offense, but white people, most of them have land and all of that to be able to do that. Black people didn't come from nothing, most of us. So we hold all of our emotions in, and we're not able to express them in a way to be able to release them. So that really spoke to my spirit too.
Yeah, well, to back up a little bit, when he did pass away, they had to move out of the California home because they found out really quickly that Tupac didn't own the home. And he didn't own his masters, and he didn't own anything. So the mom fought really hard to get ownership of everything, but she did not want to stay in that house knowing that her son didn't own it. And so through fighting, and that's where the 400 songs come in. This man at 25 had 400 songs that the mom had to fight the rights to get all of this stuff to. He had 400 unpublished work that he left behind at 25. And that's why, a lot of, I think these artists now, they struggle with coming out at the project once they have one hit one, because half of them don't write their stuff. And you got Tupac, who not only did he write, could you imagine leaving 400 songs behind and you only 25?
You know whose problem this is?
Huh?
You know whose problem this is and why they ain't dropping no album?
You talking about Cardi B?
She doesn't write any of her music. She's not a writer.
Yeah,
she doesn't write anything.
Yeah. You know who left a big catalog of music behind too? Prince.
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 Michael Jackson.
Yeah. It's like, it's like gone are the days where you had these individuals that really wrote their own stuff and had something to say. So the mom fought for all of those rights, and then when they did get the money, she bought the 56 acres of land, but the family also stayed on that 56 acres with her. Like, the Aunt Glow, the cousins, she did everything that Tupac was trying to do when he was here. And it was just, it's a touching and informational series that when you look at it, you just wonder, why do we We're our own worst enemy, literally. Killing each other, literally and figuratively. Like if we don't pow each other down, then we rip each other down by our dreams while we at the jobs,
Yeah.
crabs in the barrel. It's like we're always just clawing away at each other.
On the look, Diva, on the social medias, on the internet,
come on now,
dragging each other down. You see how the girls is fighting. The girls is fighting. Tasha K and the Cardi B. The girls is fighting for no reason.
For no reason. For no reason. When both of them should be out there doing their craft, instead they're like clawing away at each other. The way we want to sometimes complain about others who hold us down, we hold ourselves down way more than anybody else ever would or could. And it's very sad.
And I appreciate Auntie Glow. Go ahead, Royaire.
Go ahead.
I love Aunt Glow because Aunt Glow said, I am the #1 Tupac fan. Okay? I am the #1 Tupac
piece of work. I loved her. I loved her.
Yes.
I loved her.
And she said it with a straight face, y'all. You seen her? She was serious. Okay.
Dead serious. Dead serious.
And dare somebody to say it.
Yeah. But Leo, did you catch? Because I couldn't remember. I had asked Royaire, how did Jasmine Guy and his mother meet?
I think they met when okay, because you remember it's a story, it's a little legend that went on that's going on in the young Black Hollywood of the 90s, that they all came to California broke. It's a whole crew of them. It's Jada Pinkett, it's what's the girl, Tisha Campbell, it's Tashina Arnold, it was Tupac. They all stayed in the same apartment together at times because people didn't have a place to stay. And Jasmine Guy was also a part of that crew as well. And Tashina Arnold and Atisha Campbell would do a Thanksgiving dinner. And that's how Jasmine met Tupac. But I think Jasmine didn't meet the mom until he got shot in New York. And he wanted a place to stay, to my understanding.
See, I thought it was backwards. I thought that she didn't meet Tupac until he got shot, and she invited him to stay because she knew the mom.
No, they had all known each other in LA in the broke days when they all was like literally broke.
Got it.
Yeah, I remember that she knew Tupac first, and I also remember that she was studying his mom for her work that she did, a part of the Black Panthers. You remember that?
She studied her because she had already told Afeni that she was going to write a book about her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And she had studied all those things, but she went to Afeni and asked her permission, because I seen her, Jasmine Guy, say this on the Tamron Hall show, that she went to Afeni and got her permission to write a book about her. And she said that recently, probably last year.
Oh, maybe she did, Nubian.
Maybe that's what I remember somebody saying that now that she said that.
Either way, I was trying to find when she said
they
she
did
dinner for Tupac.
They did.
Okay. You know what?
They did. But they was all hanging out then. I do remember that part, that they all got close during them Thanksgiving dinners when they all didn't have a place to stay. When they was doing it might have been a different world set when they all met, but they was all hanging out together.
You know what I often wondered too when I was watching this? Like, I know he's locked up and behind bars, but I wonder how Suge Knight sleeps at night.
With one eye open and don't drop the soap.
I think he sleeps comfortably. Because to do that, in my opinion, that ain't the first time that he's done something like that to someone. So when you can, and then, I think about, he was in a relationship with Michelle, is that her name? Michelle, thank you. And the way that he abused her and misused her, that's a normal for him. So I feel like he's you know, like they said, he didn't grow up in the hood. He grew up from a 2-parent home. He grew up pretty
He
nice.
did.
So he's one of those, to me, spoiled brats who just turned out just to think you can do whatever you want to do and have no
Now
repercussions to
he
it.
was
That's
genuinely a psychopath. Now, y'all don't get it
mhm,
twisted. That thing got some. He got some disassociative behaviors going on with him. Oh yes.
mhm.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yes.
Ooh, I thought so wait, Lorraine says so she originally met Tupac when he had a guest appearance on A Different World, and from there they started hanging out. Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Lorraine. Thanks for hooking us up, helping us out there. Glow definitely made this series. I think without her, the series would have been nothing.
A
Okay.
flop.
A flop. I
Her and that daughter. Her
yeah,
and her
her and
daughter.
that
Both
daughter,
of them.
right?
If it wasn't for that, it would have been a flop.
Yeah, and I like the way that he pieced together the different footage that he had of Tupac's mom. I like the way that he brought in the footage of Tupac. I felt like every time they showed him when Tupac was young and he had on like the black white beater, so to speak, I kind of saw at that young age the sadness in his eyes,
Mm.
like you. I don't know if you saw that and kind of caught that
The
too.
struggle. The
The
struggle.
struggle. There you go. Thanks, Royaire. Like
Hmm.
the struggle in his eyes. And it breaks my heart when a kid is so young and they have to deal with so much, right? It's just sad. And he definitely was a family person because if he had $1, he was calling the fam like, yo, come out here, ride this out with me, hang out with me. And when you listen to all of his music, it has meaning to it. Like I feel like the rap music now, they don't be saying nothing.
Mm-mm.
Oh no.
And it's
They ain't
all
saying. They ain't talking about. They ain't talking about ish. When I
right.
say they
Look,
ain't talking about ish, they ain't talking about
like they
nothing.
said on Johnson Family Vacation, all that rub me, lick me, and suck me, all that mess. Stop all of that.
mm. Nubian, you are correct. You said Suge Knight ain't scared of nobody. Everybody else is scared of him. Look, he scares me too, and I ain't never been
Hmm.
He
scared.
scares me too, Diva. He
Yeah,
scares me too. If he would have looked at me one time and say, "Hey, girl, I want to talk to you," I would have politely said, "No, thank you."
now I would have just started
No, thank
Running
you.
the other way.
never look back because he's just yeah, he's just very scary, and
He
having
won't slap me, that big old man. Oh, no way.
yeah. So I mean, imagine you covered Suge Knight.
Mm. Mm.
Oh God,
The
and
same individual to cancel your funeral because allegedly it wasn't enough room for
come on
everybody.
now, come on now. Was that not a mess?
A mess, a hot mess.
You couldn't find a
I,
venue big
I
enough.
thought it was very messy and very disrespectful.
Yeah,
Very disrespectful.
yeah. But that just shows you how you didn't have the same feelings for him as he had for you. And they were beefing at the time a little bit, so to speak, because Tupac wanted out.
Hmm.
So even though Tupac wanted out and you was giving him the business, here comes this situation and he still covered you.
Mm.
Still,
Only for him to end up in prison at the end of the day with all his teeth done fell out.
child.
So what did you win anyway? You never look. In the words of Nene, you never win when you play dirty. Yes.
Ooh.
But you know what? Also, Diva, I found in this episode, outside of the sadness, there were a lot of, and this is why you need to go back and watch the episode, everyone. There were a lot of profound messages that Aunt Glow said,
Yes.
Afeni said. I mean, so many people said so many important messages that we could apply to our lives today
Mm-hmm.
in today's society. And that really spoke to me as well. So y'all make sure y'all go watch this last final episode. It's definitely an eye opener. And it was just nice to see that though a mother lost her child, just like with Emmett Till, just like with Trayvon Martin, these moms continue to fight for the legacy of their children to run on so that they can prevent it happening to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the bigger picture for me overall. is that his mom continued to fight, even in the times where she didn't want to fight, in her sadness, in her depression. She talked about this even pushed her to finally go to therapy. She never had been to therapy. I can't imagine not have gone to therapy and had been in jail and pregnant and had my whole, the Black Panther turned against you. Afeni went through a lot, on her own. And then on top of that, to have to now bury your child, it just spoke volumes how she continued to fight past and continue to, support her son's legacy.
I wonder where the brothers and sisters are. Like, why wasn't they a part of this documentary? Now we know the sister recently accepted his star on the Walk of Fame. I just wonder why they wasn't in this documentary. I would love to hear more from the dad, because I know the dad wasn't exactly happy. I'm talking about his biological dad as to the way the documentary played out. But I would love to hear more from the actual, brothers and sisters and the dad. But on Glow, like I said, she held it down for the family.
She did.
Yeah,
she
did.
Glow and her daughter did.
Yeah.
I don't think his sister is in a place where she can do this. Because even accepting his star, when I was watching that, she was very emotional, very just full of grief. She's full of grief. She's full of grief. That's what I've seen on her. She's just full of grief.
But Royaire, the sister was never out there like that. Even when we I'm just talking about in the 90s, we barely even knew about the sister. She just was, how people nowadays monetize a famous relative.
Yeah.
It's very usual that people do that. I just don't think she just that type of chick. She just ain't in here for the TV drama.
Yeah.
For the clicks and the views. Because she could. I'm sure she got
too.
memorabilia, pictures, all kind of stuff. Huh?
I wanted to ask you this too. Do you think it's because also he always, from the way that it looked, kind of always had a hit out on his back? Do you think that's another reason why she kind of stayed secluded and out of the limelight? Do you think?
I think that's just her personality.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's her personality. I just don't think that's just who she is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the mother, although she kept the legacy alive, it's not like she kept the legacy alive in social media. She kept the legacy alive behind the scenes of just doing, these different cultural centers and doing everything that she did. So I think in general, none of them were that type of people in the family that was out there, because I didn't hear about On Glow. If it wasn't for this documentary,
me either.
We would have never heard of that.
I never.
So I think,
but you know what though? In the movement, sometimes y'all, there's people that run the background. So maybe she a good cook, the sister. Maybe she a good cook. Maybe when everybody come over, she feed everybody. Maybe she make sure all the clothes are clean. Maybe she make sure everybody get to where they need to be and don't have to be the person in the forefront. I like to work the background personally. I'm a background person. Go ahead on and y'all get in the forefront. Y'all be on the camera and I'll work the stuff in the background. I'll make sure the trains arrive on time. That's me.
Right. So I just think that's who that family, that's just who they are. It's just like all the pictures they were showing him, and when they would show little footage of him, I'm just like, wow. And they spoke how he always spoke how he wasn't going to be here long. Now, sometimes I think we manifest, because they say life and death is in the power. It's the power of the tongue.
In the power of the word.
The power of the word. So that's why they say you got to speak life over yourself. You got to speak positivity. You can't speak negative, because you're going to keep bringing those situations into your life. I think that he manifested in some way, shape, or form his own untimely, passing, because he just spoke so much of like, just not being here, not living to this age, not living to that age, or whatever. And then he will walk into these paths of negativity.
Do you think that he had that mindset because of what he was walking in and walking through?
I think part of the mindset, because I think he embodied a lot of his mom being a Black Panther. So I think, that energy kind of transferred to him a little bit. And then I think, unfortunately, he met that man called Suge Knight.
Yeah.
And
But
go ahead.
you know what? And now that you say that, it just brought me back. When she was pregnant with him, she had him either in jail or just getting out of jail, right?
No, she was
Right.
she had got I don't think she had him in the jail. I can't remember.
No, it was
Just
right
got
after.
It was
right
right
after.
after.
Okay.
Right.
So, but still, she was going through her case with the Black Panthers and all that. So
Right.
the stress, he was birthed into
Under
stress.
threat.
He was birthed into
Under threat.
anxiety. He was, yes.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah,
And
no,
it carried through the womb. I know people don't believe that, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
deeply believe that what the mother's soul and spirit is feeling transfers to the child in the womb.
Yes, it does.
And I believe that because I know that in my own personal life experience that it does. And I think that baby Tupac was born under threat. He felt the threats.
Yeah, he did. She said Tupac said he didn't want to be here anymore. So a lot of people, and I can't wait to finish getting through this one book that I'm reading so I can bring that author on and we can all talk to him and hear his story. But a lot of people feel sometimes like it's too much pressure and they don't want to be here anymore. But the thing is, there's this saying, I'm trying to get the right words in where you started is not where you have to end.
That's right. That's right.
So they said, and I'm not trying to get all biblical on you tonight, but they said, in the Bible, they said, Jesus was born in a manger. Like, so they said, like, one pastor was saying one time that you can start out with nothing. And if you have mustard seed faith, you can end up with everything. You can start out in a dark situation and work your way to the light. There are some people who legit, they got both their parents out there crackheads. One person could thrive, the other person may end up being a crackhead. But it's like, what do you want to do? You got to get your mind right. In the hospital all the time, they tell you, like, this is the condition you have. But the first thing they tell you too after that is, if you get your mind right, anything is possible. They said a man is what he thinks. If you think you want to die, you probably will. If you think you're going to live, you might just live. So that's why you have to watch the words that you say, everything, how you speak over yourself, all of that. And gratitude is everything. And that's why I tell people, I was grateful for my home when it had nothing in it.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for my home now that it has everything that I want in it. Do you understand what I mean?
So let me ask you this.
Huh?
I said, let me ask you this, because this just popped into my memory. He was a big believer, and like we talked about at the beginning, there's a beginning date and there's an end date. And he truly believed that there was an afterlife, something after this. So do you think that his excitement for whatever was after this just really was the push for him to be out of here? I don't, because it just, like they said in the documentary, most people, I want to say Aunt Glow maybe said it, most people fear death. They fear that, his mom did. Okay. So most people fear that after this, but he was never fearful of it. Never. And at 25, and to not be fearful, I mean, I just got to a place, I'm 28, and I just got to a place with, being okay with it. I ain't completely there yet, but accepting the fact that I have to go.
Right, got you. No, I'm following you 100%. The reason why I laugh is because I'm 53. Now I know I gotta have a time, but I ain't accepted yet.
But you know what though, Diva? Once you pass half a century, like I have as well, you do realize though that you done spent more of your dollars before than you got left. Okay, you lived more than you got time that you got left.
Right, absolutely. But can I tell you this? So my dad, He'll be 85 in August. My dad's dad was 90 something when he passed, right? There's longevity in my family.
There's
And
longevity in my family too.
yeah,
Yes.
and so but with that being said, though, my dad is the type of person where he lived his best life to this moment. Like when the doctor, I cannot clean my glasses for some reason. So when he was diagnosed with the cancer, and the doctor told him, the different treatments or whatever, and what does he want to do? Is he sure? Because this and that chemo, they said, takes out the young people sometime, right? The one that
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what he said? He said, I'm good. Do whatever you got to do, right? And so they told him, make sure you don't do this, that, and the other. And every time I would call my dad, but first my dad was like, he's not coming to live with us in Jersey. He's staying in New York because that's where he belongs, right? So he's not
dealing with them parents, girl. Because you figure they keep their own mind and they do what they want to do.
They do what
even
they
though,
want to do, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, he looked at me and told me, don't worry. He said, I'm good. But my point is that this man still hangs out with his friends, still goes to his church, right? And then I got another girlfriend that said, death is going to catch me living. And you know what?
Yeah.
That's right there.
That's a word right there.
Me living. And that's a
Somebody used to
period.
Okay. Look, the old saints used to say 99 and a half won't do. Okay.
Death will catch me living. And I feel like that, yes, although we know we got to go one day, we got an expiration date, right? But I'm not going to manifest it and have it come. And I literally want to go in my bed, lay down, and then wake up in heaven. Don't shoot.
Yeah. That's how I want to go.
Yeah. Do not be shooting me. Yo, it bopped me over the head. I don't want
not you feeling up for yourself. About don't be shooting me.
I'm gonna circle back where he said this. I'm gonna say this. I do believe that he had this unique thing where he did believe in the afterlife, like wholeheartedly in the core of his soul.
Well,
right?
y'all, hold on, Diva. On, Diva. Let me give y'all some information now. He got a song called Thug Mansion. And it's where all the gangsters go when they die. Oh, so he did deeply believe in the afterlife.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Thug Mansion. He definitely did. But the thing I have though is I don't feel like I'm trying to say, like, who wants to go like that? You understand what I'm trying to say? You want to go with all of these pals in you? That's how you want.
No pals. Please, Lord, no.
No, right? So that's what I mean. Like, I do believe that he was well aware of, like, we all got to go one day, but I don't think that, I feel like that he walked the path that he didn't have to walk, because I felt like he didn't have to go that way.
I think he did. Okay, I'm gonna respectfully disagree. You're with Royaire.
Go ahead.
Because I feel like, look, we do choose our path. Where we started is not where we have to eventually land or where we have to end.
Right.
But I do think that when it comes to Tupac specifically, I think he chose the path. Because when I say I'm disagreeing with Royaire, he said he came before his time. And I want to say respectfully, that is because you did not live, therefore, Royaire, in the glory of Tupac, but I did. Mm-hmm. And it's so much music that Tupac put out that was thought-provoking. He mentioned books and authors in his rhyme that I never would have even had any access to go look it up and go read these books. Mm-hmm. It was influential in me becoming a person that is not, I don't have a whole bunch of degrees, but I do have education in the form of books and things that you can go and read and buy and look up. So he was influential for me. So it came in for the right time for us, but maybe not for your era. I think he lived, he did the darn thing, and then he was out. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was supposed to be that way. Tupac, you can go. I have seen literal pictures of people in Africa that's in a village with Tupac t-shirts on.
Mm.
That's murals of Tupac in every country.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
you
He
know, in this
did the thing
episode,
that he was brought here to do. He did it. He did it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, in this episode, they were saying, I want to say it was Mike Tyson that was saying that over in Africa, when they prepare for war, they turn on his music and they play his music.
He did say that.
Ooh,
He did say that. He did say that. You know who is another one who was it's amazing to me how kind of like minds kind of end up connecting. So him and Tupac connected because there was something in them that was alike but yet different, if I'm making any sense. But you know, Mike Tyson is another one. He's very intuitive. Um and he talks his truth a lot, right? So he's not sitting there like, oh, I was this good person, I was this, I was that. Like Mike Tyson is well aware of who he is and why he is the person that he is. And I don't know if
he
they
is,
ever,
right?
right? I don't know if they ever
He's
did a
very
documentary.
aware,
Yes, he very
self-aware,
is.
self-aware.
Yes, he is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they ever did a documentary on Mike Tyson, but if so, I would love to see it.
There is. It's
Mm,
one called
I
Tyson.
thought it
Look it
was.
up.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought
Look
it
it up.
was.
Yeah, it's one. It's just called Tyson. That's the best one I ever seen of Mike Tyson. Was the one that's just called Tyson.
Okay, and it was really good.
It was really good.
Did
It
they
was really.
Mm.
I
did they
think. I
address
think
him in
Tupac.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think Tupac and Mike Tyson connected on the level of pain.
Yes, there
Right.
you go.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
couldn't
what
give
that
you
is.
words. That's
Put
what
it
it is.
on, Leo.
You are correct, Leo. That's what it is. In my opinion, jump in.
Hello, beautiful people.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
in my opinion.
Listen here, Tupac was amazing for so many different reasons. But the one thing that I realized for him is it wasn't that he wasn't afraid to die. He knew that once he left here, that there was something better.
Mm.
So when you hear people say you were born to die, it sounds crazy. But when you listen to his lyrics, he said he was never meant to be here for long anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you take all that into effect, you realize like his songs, his lyrics, nothing about it said I'm gonna be afraid. I'm just gonna go with whatever life leads me. And I think that's to his detriment and to his will that he believed that he knew that it was better for him beyond this life. You know what I'm saying? He knew he had a purpose here. And I think he knew he served it long before his end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He gave the people. He gave it to us. He gave it to us.
Mm.
All he had.
Mm. That's heavy. Royaire.
I mean, in my opinion, I think she just said it best. You know, and I have to agree with you now, Leo. You know, he was where he was right supposed to be at in his time. I think the only reason I said what I said is because this generation, in my opinion, would be more accepting of what he was doing back then. I think, um, because our people now, they're just so our young folks are just so open to any and everything, and they're willing to listen, to the rappers who are speaking positivity and truth. But I think because he did it back then and it's followed down through the years, we're able to see the progression of his work and everything that he left behind. Like you said, who has 400 songs that they've just left behind? And Eminem was a part of this interview as well. I thought it was very shocking to see him. I loved how he talked about how Afeni, allowed him to come in and kind of, mess around with the music and, get what he, desired pretty much.
His mother is definitely a special kind of different.
Yes.
She
Yeah.
was
She.
she definitely was a welcoming, open soul.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Eminem, he definitely was in this documentary. And I think it's so sad how we as a people want everything to be equal. But then if there's a reverse of someone trying to come into our culture,
Mm.
it's a whole lot of tension.
Mm.
And I think Eminem got a lot of smoke from our culture, but I feel like, he's another one. He mentioned in there that he didn't know his father. And now that you said something, Leo, I feel like all of these souls that connected to Tupac, there was the pain was the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It was. It
Pain
was.
was
And
the
I'm gonna tell
Well,
y'all
he was
something about Eminem.
the thing
The
about it
the
is they were
people
the first ones to actually tell you their story. Like they wasn't icing that down like everybody else. They was actually being raw with their story. They let you hear the gruesome parts of, you know, being on welfare, growing up in the hood and the projects and stuff like that. Stuff people that were scared to say that they wasn't scared to say it.
Yeah, but
Eminem talked about being in the trailer park. But
yep.
I'm gonna say this about Eminem, because let's be I'm gonna be specific in this one.
Mhm.
People talked about in our community, in the Black community, people talked about Eminem on the fringes. But I tell you what, none of the rappers never came for Eminem. And you know why? Because Eminem is gifted. I ain't never owned none of his music. I was never down like that, but I cannot take away from his gift.
He
And what the
spit.
people, the real rap
He
people
spits
understand is
hard.
that Eminem is gifted, and he has never done anything but spoke highly of the people that came before him
Mm-hmm.
that really did cultivate this rap game for him to be successful. He understood that his niche was a whole nother market, and he had the privilege of being able to bring the young white people into the rap game, but he never said it was his. He never said he was getting ready to go against nobody and be about nothing but him coming from the trailer park on 8 Mile. And that's what he was representing. And it's a place for all of that.
That part.
It's a place for all of it.
It is. But I'm glad you said that. But my whole thing is too, it's like, just generically across the board, we want to, as actors and actresses, we want to be in these mainstream television shows. We want to be part of this cast and that cast. But then we don't want to open the door for them to be part of maybe when we have an all black cast. Like it's always some heat and some smoke. And
Well,
wait 1 second, Roy. Let me just say this. And I'll throw this in there. I have a problem with, and maybe it's just my problem with the Real Housewives of Potomac. Is it Potomac or no? Not the is Married to Medicine, where you want to kick off, what is her name? Anila.
Anila. Mm-hmm.
I want to know why. I want to know why. Now, if Anila was a black girl in an all-white cast and she got kicked off, it would be an uproar. I'm not understanding why she had to get kicked off the show, because I really felt like her and her husband, they brought enough heat and smoke and interesting storyline that some others don't even bring, and they're still there. But that,
you know what though?
Well,
She was
Diva,
funny.
Diva,
That
she was
husband was
extra.
funny.
huh?
That husband was so
Yes,
funny.
he was. Yes, he was.
Yes, the husband was funny, but she was extra. I think it was so many conflicting stories that we couldn't identify with, that she just didn't land the way she thinks she did.
Well, who's really landing over there though?
Her story definitely didn't land.
But
Okay, it was.
whose story is landing?
I'm just saying hers didn't. She's making all these monies off of sponsorship deals. What sponsorship deals you seen her on major
Doesn't
campaign?
matter. They all lie. Emmanuel, I connect with you on this. Anila experienced a lot of prejudice. I have to say it. And I agree with you. I do. I
And,
the
feel like
issue.
Toya is extra.
I just feel like that we want something that sometimes we don't give. And it's like it's a double-edged sword. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. it's
I'm gonna
like,
tell you what it is. I'm
go
gonna tell
ahead.
you what it is.
Yes.
We, and I don't mean y'all,
Right.
we as Black people have not gotten to a place to forgive what have been done to us. And because we have not gotten to that place, you can't let something in when you have not forgiven the something that's done something to you. Does that make sense? And so I feel like a lot of, I can speak for our younger generation, a lot of us feel like Black people have not been given the due that we deserve. We haven't, we're still treated a certain type of way in our society. And I speak for me because I feel this way. Why am I going to let you in my circle, but you still when you do let me in your circle, you still treat me as a Black individual instead of treating me like everybody else in the circle. But then you want me to invite you in my circle and let you have free reign, but when I go in your circle, I can't have the free reign that I let you have in my circle. And that's nothing to do with Anila. That's just the general of why, in my opinion, Black people do not allow others inside of our world. Because when we go in y'all's, we're not received. We're not received. The other thing, as far as Anila, I think because she accused a Black woman of robbery, it turned the Black audience off from her. That's just what it is. I ain't saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just what happened. That's what happened. And then secondly, she can't bring the audience that Phaedra can allegedly bring, which is why they got rid of Anila and Contessa, because I guess they're hoping that Phaedra will be able to bring in the audience that they didn't bring. That's just my thought. Now, like I said, if it's right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm not the judgment of that, but that's just what I see and what I feel. But do you think that they treat us equally in their circles as if we would when we bring them to our circle?
No, because you see how Garcia get treated.
Well,
See,
Is she equal over there on Beverly Hills?
this conversation could get really heavy because it could get really heavy. And the reason why I'm saying it could get really heavy because Garcelle flipped the coin left, right, sideways, in whatever the case may be. I'm just going to say this. I can't come into the confession and be like, oh, Black Twitter will get them if they say ba 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 ba. What do we want to do? Do we want to blend and integrate? Or do we want to use our weapons when we feel like we're losing ground just to gain some ground?
but that's what they do.
I'm gonna
Better preach, Royaire. You better preach.
I'm gonna.
But wait a minute though. It is. Let me tell y'all something.
Yes, come
Historically, all the laws, all the rules, all the statutes are written for the protection, the prosperity, and the pleasure of white men. And I am saying this only because that's what the Constitution was written for. Everybody else came in on amendments, and I do mean women. During the Constitution days, Black people was only 3/5 of a human being. So in this society, we can fight for equity, but we cannot necessarily fight for equality because the system ain't been set up that way. We can grow in our area, because the thing is to say that we don't need to accept, or not we don't need to, but if we block them from our community, they block us from theirs. But that's not necessarily historically true. Mulatto children have always been included in our community. We are accepting in our community far more than they are accepting of us. Exactly. And to be that as it may, it is things in this life that you cannot get. There is a lot of yours that is your lot. Okay. There are rich people whose families are always cursed with a genetic disease, and everybody die at 40, and everybody got money, right? Everybody got money, land, wealth, prestige. It is certain things in this life that you have to bear, that you have no control over. Just like I'll say, I'm gonna throw this in there and I'm gonna leave it alone. Transgender folks who thinks that they are identified as a woman and they need to be a part of everything that women do, even though they cannot physically give birth to children like women do. I'm not saying they don't need to fight for equality, but there is some things that you just can't get in this life. Race is a social construct. It is not a real thing. Everybody is humanly equal. But in this life, sometimes there are things that you're going to have to bear that you have no control over. It is not right, but you deal with it and you make progress through life, through terms, through generations. You make progress. So I don't think it's about letting people in or not letting people in. It's about accepting where you are and making progress and moving forward from that place.
And let me just clear this up real quick. I wasn't saying that Neela Royaire was on it and Neela should. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have said that. If that was the case, then that was the case. But I think that was just a part of the reason why Anila didn't stay. That's just what I think. I don't know nothing factual, and I ain't trying to start nothing. I just want to clear that up.
I think they got rid of Anila because Anila is boring. I believe she is boring, but I mean, so is Sheree. So was Cynthia Bailey, and I want Cynthia back on the Housewives. I mean, it is a balance. Some people just have to be there because they're giving us something culturally. I loved what Anila brought culturally to Married to Medicine. I loved her ceremonies. I loved her housewarming. I thought it was all cool. I was intrigued, interested, and I was educated, and I enjoyed it.
Because I don't want to kind of go down this road today.
You started it.
It's a good, healthy conversation, though.
Right? Yeah, it is, and we may have to have it on a higher level. So I want to say this though: we can't integrate until we integrate. We can't get along until we get along, and I promise you this. Because I've been fortunate for the last 20 years of my life, I'm going to say at the very least, probably more than that, to live with a mixed group of people. And I promise you this, at the end of the day, we all the same, with the same problems, with the same problems, and worry about the same things and care about the same things. And if we get all of this nonsense out the way, we can all really get along. But you're not going to get along until you start to learn who I am, who you are, and we all mix this thing together. And see, what we have to understand is never going to work out if the first discrepancy you have with the person, you say, get out. So how are you ever going to learn to deal with an Anila if the minute she just walks on a thin line, you pluck her out. Say, get out. We don't want you.
We gave Anila 2 fair seasons now. She had 2 fair seasons.
Let me just finish this for you. I'm talking even in general. Every time we try to blend, they find a reason to say, no, you out, you out. No, we got to go through the rough period and get on the other side of the mountain. You understand what I mean? I have in my life, especially in nursing, I work with more people that did not look like me than that looked like me.
Me too. In corporate.
Come on, in corporate too. Come on, Leo. And so the thing is, right? Somebody has to be the modern day Rosa Parks.
That part,
and I'm not even trying to be funny when I say this. There has got to be more modern day Martin Luther Kings. The problem is nobody exists like that no more. Everybody thinks about self. And I hate to do this to y'all, but I'm going to throw it out there since we talking. Nene Leakes is a prime example. The whole time she was on Roa, it was really about self-preservation. I'm making $2 million. I'm over here doing the apprentice and got me a Trump check. I'm doing.
It was disgusting. It was disgusting.
Right, come on now. I'm here. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Then the minute she falls from grace, now she want to call on the people. I'm mad. I'm mad. Boycott Bravo. Sign this paper. And she wanted all her co-workers to back her. Whoa. When you was up top, you wasn't thinking about nothing but you. Now that you fall from grace, you want to call on the people. So she ain't no better than the rest of them. And she looked like us. You trying to use us the same way. When you need us, you want to call on us. But before, when you was at top, you wasn't trying to help us rise to the top with you. Instead of telling your fellow co-worker Cynthia, girl, let's make this money together. I make $2 million. Let's see how we gonna get you to $2 million. She ain't give a darn. But when her $2 million check left the building, now she wanna say they ain't right, they ain't backing me up. Well, you ain't backed me up the whole time you was working next to me. So all I'm saying is that we got to figure out how to get together and work together. And you got to take some notes. The perfect note for me is the show Friends that was on ABC. Those chicks, all of them people on that show, they didn't trump each other. They say we all get a raise.
They got together.
Come on.
They got together.
We got together. We all get a raise and we all gonna walk. I want to say they making $1 million an episode at the top of the
They was.
All of them.
They was.
All of them.
They was.
They wasn't
they stuck together.
Saying fire Royaire so I could get $2 million and give everybody else $500,000. That's why the real, what was that? Was it the real with Lonnie Love and all of them?
Yeah.
That's why they fell out. Because Lonnie and the sister, that one, they was making all the cash, and the other girls was eating pennies and catching Ubers, and the other ones was riding in the limo. I'm just saying, if we're going to have the conversation, we can have the conversation, but we got to keep it 100. Roy, I know you was trying to say something. Go ahead.
Don't even need to say it.
The train, Diva. You shaking the train,
she
girl.
doing something. I don't know if it's shaking, but she doing something. I'm gonna have to stand in the words that you said the other day, 11 toes down on it. I'm gonna have to stand. I mean, we were brought to this country and taught to fight against one another. It's embedded in us. It's embedded in us to fight for our own, to fight for me. I got to fight for me. While they brought us over here, they stood together and banded with one another so that they could get what they want. But they separated and tore us apart. So I think for some of us, not all of us, for some of us, we don't know how to band together because that's all certain generations have been taught, was to tear each other down and tear each other apart. Luckily, I think we have a pretty good crew on here where we have come from generations of integration and intersecting and knowing how to bring people into our circle. But for me, in my opinion, from what I've experienced of Nene, and I'm just going to use her because we're talking about her, the generation that she came from, she didn't come from a household where she grew up with her mother. She grew up with her grandmother. Kenya, these people, they did not have secure, stable homes. And so they don't know how to band together and be on one accord. What does Kenya do that's not selfish? What does Nene do that's not selfish? I mean, the list can go on and on. And I get what you're saying, like, we got to learn how to do it, but some stuff is taught for so long, it can't be unlearned. It can't. You talking about people that are in their 50s and 60s. They say by the time you're 40, but that's what I'm saying. Most people say by the time you're 40, who you are is who you're going to be.
And they're a liar. The devil is a liar. You could wake
But
up.
you have to have that example to be taught how to do that. And a lot of people don't have that.
Sometimes you got to teach yourself. I met this man one day. He was like, I don't know how to do marriage because I never saw a successful one. Well, that's a cop-out. That's a cop-out. When now, literally, you could Google your whole life. How to do a first date. And tons of ideas are going to come up. How do I love my wife? It's going to give you 22 steps. How do I turn around a defiant kid? It's going to show you books, videos, YouTube, this, that, and the other. Anybody who said they can't gather their life in this day and age, they don't want to. And I promise you that.
I believe that too.
Come on, Leo.
I believe that too.
Every night before I go to bed, I simply Google on YouTube a 10-minute meditation.
So why hasn't the change happened then? Why hasn't it happened then?
Why hasn't what happened?
The integration, the way you saying it. I mean,
because you don't want it, because not you personally, because the people don't want it, Royaire.
Because we're not accepted in theirs. I'm just as an individual, I'm tired, and this is just me speaking. I'm tired of allowing people in my circle and they can do whatever they want, but then when I go to their circle, I have to abide by their rules, and I'm in this box. Like, how much longer do we have to continue to stay in the box that they want us in, but then we have to be accepting and allow them to come over and do whatever they want to do?
Because see, here's
even when we do turn the other cheek and allow them in.
Well, yeah, the thing is, nobody wants to step inside the box and do the process so that change can happen. Change is not going to happen with you rah, and once you get inside the box. When you get inside the box, you have to study and learn. And then you have to be smart enough to know how to maneuver so that you can change things when you're inside that box. See, what happens is everybody wants to go in the box and be a rah, and it's going to get you nowhere. And it's not going to help the people that's coming behind you. When you do things, you got to lay the tracks for somebody that's coming behind you. In my nursing school, I laid the tracks for the person that was coming behind me. It wasn't about me. And what we have done, that's why I'm saying with the Rosa Parks, with the Martin Luther King, with those particular people, everything they was doing, it wasn't about them. It helped us. There was somebody a long time ago that did some things, and that's the reason why I can vote. It wasn't
okay, Diva.
To speak.
Diva, hold on. This is what Royaire needs to do. Royaire needs to study American history and understanding because you're saying Royaire is saying we're not being let in, we're not being accepted, and this is a true fact. Royaire is correct. This is a true fact. But when I say study history, because I love history, when you study history, you understand the flows and the waves of how history works. In your experience, Royaire, in your 28 years being here in this country of America, you do understand that you are not accepted as an equal human being. And as me and my white friend, we talk a lot about these things. And he used to tell me, well, you can't change hearts and minds. This is 20 years ago. 20-something years ago. You can't change hearts and minds, Felicia. You can't change hearts and minds. But in this country, it's not about hearts and minds. It's about the law. And according to the 14th Amendment, everyone should be protected under law. And when we go through these struggles, in your 28 years, you have seen a recession. You have seen a regression of people not being accepted that look like us and live like us. And everybody share the same aspirations. Everybody want their kids to get fed, educated. You want a place to stay. You want a good job, right? You want to be able to save some money. You want to be able to go on vacation at least 2 weeks of the year. Everybody want these same things. But to be able to continue in this struggle, you cannot negate the fact that there has been successes. You cannot negate that fact. In your 28 years, you might not be able to say there's been successes. But within the history of us being here for over 400 years, there has been success. And what I would encourage you to do is study history, because what you feel is not a culmination of the whole thing. It is within your experience, because what you understand in American history, this thing about self and individualism and not about being collectively together, this thing happens after 1970, that people in our community were able to make gains, and they did stop being about the collective and only being about self. This is true, but the way to change things is the person in the mirror. The person in the mirror is the person that changes things. You do it in your own space. You got a YouTube channel that I totally enjoy. I make sure all the time that I take out specific time to watch your videos. You have to do it within yourself, within your means, to be able to be the change that you want to see.
Amen. That's a good word right there, right? We all got to start with the man in the mirror. We can't change any other individual. But just because they see who you are, that might change their mind.
One person. One person.
One person at a time. Hi, Royaire.
Oh no, I thought somebody was gonna say no. I'm good now. I completely agree with you. No, and personally, I'm very, and I think Diva knows this about me. I'm very open and receptive to everything, but I think as a overall culture, as a whole, there are more of us who are tired of trying to invite the people in, or trying to go into the other circles, and we're being rejected. But then when it's time for us, they expect. That's just what that was the general conversation kind of that I was given. But I totally agree with you, Leo. You have to, in your own space, create those things. And I have friends and relationships of all races. I was telling you, Diva, pretty much all of my cousins, they're married to people outside of our race. So I just think as a whole together, the young people, they just, like you said, most of us don't know our American history, so they don't see the change that has happened. And where we are today, it doesn't seem like
I
the
also
work
think
that
it's
has
where
been
you
done.
live.
Yeah, well, that too.
Because that plays a part.
The
Like,
South, yeah.
let's be honest, okay? Some things that work out for other people in the South, it ain't working for us. For our kind. So I don't care how much you do to try to come up. These people are not gonna let you just come up. Not in the South. They still feel like you beneath them. So I've seen a lot of people try to give that second chance and lend that second hand, and these people will snatch you, cut your hand off. So I understand where Roy is coming from. I understand where you coming from, Diva, too. But I'm just saying, in the South, it's totally different. Like, we have to realize these people that we put in office is the people that's gonna keep us held back.
No.
So yes, if we don't vote, yes, if we don't vote, this the reason why we is the way we is. And if you look at that map, the South has always led more Republican than anything.
I don't want to go right down the public and the political road right now. I'm saying wholeheartedly, 10 toes down, and we're going to have to pick this conversation up at another time. I'm telling you right now, can't nobody hold you down but yourself. I don't care who's in office, because if you really believe the man above runs everything, I don't care who's in office. If you really believe everything that you want to do, mustard seed faith, it can happen. I think we hold ourselves back by always giving somebody else the power because this one, I didn't make it. Because of that one. I know tons of people that don't get up off their behind to even try to do the things that they want to do because it's easy to blame it on someone else. And here's the thing, it's not about us. Everybody love to say vote, and this is not against you in my opinion. Everybody like, we gotta vote, we gotta vote. Forget about it, because the pool of people that we have to vote from is the worst of the worst anyway. So 9 times out of 10, you doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo to pick the best out of the worst. So it don't matter what these people say, it's still not going to be anybody that looks like you. Forget about voting. Raise somebody up that can get in that position so that you have somebody that you can vote for that's going to connect with your agenda. So the
wait a minute though, Diva. That's not true.
Hold on 1 second. The closest thing that we had that people really got excited about voting for was Obama. But let's be clear. If we tell the truth, because there's things that once you get behind the walls, you see that you won't be able to do. He couldn't even do everything that needed to be done. Because they shut it down. And you want to know why they shut it down? Because everybody underneath him had more power than he had. So it's not just, oh, let's vote. First of all, you got to get a whole bunch of people in line to be in all of these different positions so that when you vote, the power will matter. They blocked, go in the history of Obama, they blocked so many things that he wanted to do. It took him his whole gray hair across all of his body to pass Obamacare. And Obamacare even was helping some of the politicians that said they couldn't stand him. If y'all really want to go down that political road, we got to look at the history and tell the truth. You don't even have people in those seats that is going to have your agenda, whether they're white, blue, red, yellow, orange, or green. Bianca, thank you for the super chat. These conversations are needed. I can relate to each of you. Love all of you on the panel tonight. We love you back. Okay, so my thing is, like I told somebody, yeah, I vote all the time. And sometimes I write my name in. Come on, if you're a voter, you
do too.
I'm telling you facts here. Sometimes it be such a mess on there. I write my name in and click me off. Come on, Leo. I'm telling you, because
my brother.
Yeah, because when you look at the tally and you looking at the names, you're like, hey, all these people raggedy. But I'll go ahead and vote whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this click button right here and do any, meeny, miny, mo, and get the best out of the worst. So,
but Diva,
yes,
Diva,
uh-huh.
This is the thing. Policy is written by politicians. Mm-hmm. Everything that we live every day, from the seat belts to the speed limit in your town to how they section off what particular part of the community gonna be low income, gonna be mid income. All those things are done with policy, and we as a collective need to be more involved, which includes voting. It's not about who you see at the ticket. It's about holding them accountable when they get there. Everybody has to participate as a citizen in the franchise to get different results. If you want something, and look, it's not, hold on. It is not because you only got trash people to vote for. It is because the good people don't have the money to support a campaign that will be able to put them in office to be able to do it. Because look, I'm gonna tell you what, if voting wasn't important, they wouldn't be putting up all these rules to make sure we can't go and vote.
See, but
from ID to taking up the voter polls. If we did not have power, listen now, if we did not have power they would not be blocking us from being able to vote. Because what they do know is that we collectively will say voting don't matter. And they'll say, okay, so we're going to take all the voting polls out your area because y'all don't really care nothing about voting. So we're going to make sure y'all don't get it.
No.
Make sure y'all don't get it. It matters because they don't want us to have it.
No, but see, you missed what I said. I did not say voting didn't matter. I'm saying that all you're saying is to vote. And what I said is there's a whole lot of other things that need to happen before we just vote. If you just telling me to vote, when I go to the polls, the only people that's going to be there, as you stated, because maybe somebody we love does not have the money to even run a campaign to be on the ticket. So when I get there, the only people that's going to be there is people that's on the agenda anyway. So I'm doing the eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So what I said was, it's not just about voting. It's about raising people up. If you roll back the footage and what I said, it's about raising people up so that a candidate will be on the ticket that we can even vote for. But then not only that, you not only just need that candidate on the ticket, you need a whole bunch of others. Because when all the seats are there, because like I said, my reference was Obama. He got in the office. The people came out and voted. They did what they wanted, what everybody wanted them to do. They voted. He couldn't pass half of his agendas. Why? Because everybody underneath him that was in office was not for him. And therefore, even though he's the president, you would think that's the end all be all. He can't pass a bill by himself. So I'm telling y'all, I know politics. I vote. But what I'm saying is, if we don't get the people that we need on the ticket, the vote is worthless. I'm not saying don't vote. I vote every time. But I'm telling you, if the people are not there, no matter who you vote for, your agenda is still not going to happen. So we love to say the end of the math, right? Oh, come on, vote, vote, vote. Well, we voted. But then you like, well, why isn't things still happening? Because we had the vote from people that never was going to have our agenda in mind to begin with. So you got, and everybody can't be a politician. You got to know your roles. Like I can work in the office and help put the flyers up on the thing, but I'm
Me
not
too,
going,
Diva. Me too.
I'm not going to be the politician. So we got to raise up Johnny and them and whoever else and say, is this your field? Is this your love? Because if so, we need to be the politician, just like everybody can't be in the pulpit.
That's it.
Throw anybody out there. So all I'm saying is the end result is, yeah, we have to vote. It's not just about voting though, because you need the right body to vote for. Emmanuel, you're in the building. What do you want to add to this conversation?
Hey everyone. So Diva, I was with you until you were talking about the voting thing. I feel like voting is one of the most important things you need to do because let's keep it.
Wait, hold on. Before you talk, see, you're another one. You're coming in, and you know I love you, Emmanuel. You missed every word I said. You're hearing what you want to hear. There's no way you're talking about a chick that has been voting since she's been 18. I told you on this channel before, I've been working since I'm 13. I think when you work so early too, but this is just my opinion, I could be dead wrong, you are propelled into adulthood a little bit quicker because you have more responsibilities. Because I was going to school, I was working, I was putting checks in the bank, this, that, and the other. Okay. And I was doing taxes at a very early age too, because there were certain times in my later teens where I made so much money that I had to go and do the taxes. So don't come, this is me respectfully, don't come and say, oh, I'm saying vote is not important. That word never came out my mouth. What I said was, again, I will repeat it for the people in the back that didn't hear me, is that when we're voting, it's a whole bunch of people that don't have our agenda in mind to begin with. So we are voting and picking somebody. We're picking the best out of the worst. Okay. And it's like, okay, because we have Biden. Listen, respectfully, I think that this is me, respectfully. I feel like the president is one of the most important jobs in the world, but the only job where you don't have to submit a resume. They don't really barely do no background check unless they want to. You don't have to have no credentials on how do you handle a budget. Did you work at 10 other jobs where you had this huge budget? You can't even work in corporate America in certain job levels and you don't know how to handle a budget, or you haven't managed 30 or 40 or 50 employees. You got actors waking up talking about, I'm running for president. And because they have the money, they can do it. So my point is not that it's just about voting. It's about there's a whole lot of other stuff we got to clean up so that the right people will be on the top, the docket to vote for. Let me tell you something. I rolled the dice and voted for who I voted for. Because what, Biden is how old?
80.
Diva, but okay.
I gotta let Emmanuel finish. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
And I hear what you're saying, but I disagree. And like, with all respect, of course, it's that mentality that got Trump in the first place. Because y'all, and when I say y'all, I mean people who were over 18 at the time, y'all didn't show up in the polls to vote for Hillary and made Trump win. And look at what happened in the last 4 years. And opinion is right. Voting, especially in states in the South, and I know this because I live in the South, is a different thing than up there in the North, New York and New Jersey, because there are some southern states that still have Jim Crow laws, and that's the representatives that are being voted in.
So, Emmanuel, you're just saying simply because enough people didn't show up at the polls, that's why Trump won. Do you not think that maybe Trump won just because the people that came to the polls, they voted for him more than they wanted Hillary? Come on now. You can't break this thing down that simplistic, because it's not. There's a lot of people that regardless, not only do they like him, but there was a lot of foolery that went on with that particular voting where people claim votes were thrown out, this, that, and the other. I don't think it was that simple just because people didn't show up. That's why he won. There was allegedly a lot of cheating, but I don't want to go down that road. And again, you still are not connecting to my point. There is no way that I ever say voting was not important. So,
no, Diva, I understand what you're saying. Listen.
You caught the wrong message. So let me say it loud and proud again. Never said that. Never said that. Of course, voting is important, right? But let me ask you this, Emmanuel. It's time to vote for president. You got Biden. You got Diva.
President ain't the most important office, though.
I'm not saying it, but again, in my opinion, that's what's telling me you're not hearing my message. You're just hearing what you want to hear. Because again, I said that before we even vote to that level, we need all the lower houses to be in order too. So I don't understand why y'all missing my point. But let me just say,
I got you, Diva. I got you. Don't scream me out no more. I understand.
Thank you, Leo. So Emmanuel, let me say this. We got to vote for president tomorrow. And I don't want to use too many real names because I don't want to get this down of bashing a different president versus another, right? But let's just say you got Biden, you got Diva, you got
and Leo,
and you got Royaire. Who you voting for?
Well, I need to know what y'all's platform is.
No. See, you're playing games right now, Emmanuel. You get my point. Is Biden, who's in his 80s, is Diva, is Leo, and is Royaire. My point is that you gotta pick the best out of the worst. And so the best you would say in that scenario is, well, Biden already did it once. Let me just go ahead and click him off again.
I don't think it's that simple. Like, there's got to be like some policy, some plan.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. But most people don't even look into. They just go and pick a familiar name. Most people, when they vote, that is what they do. So that's factual. I will ride with that.
Yeah. And then even when they do these debates, they're a bunch of lies. And let me tell you, if you really want to know something about a job, I could sit here all day long and say, oh, my manager, if I had that position, I would do this, that, and the other. Then when you get in the position and you realize what you up against, you be like, oh my God, I see why my manager did what she did. The reason why she
Why
did.
she quit?
Yes, I did. I lived that.
Talking,
Yeah,
am I talking?
I lived that.
You won't know the budget until you see the budget, and you're not going to have privilege to see the budget as a candidate just running. You're not.
Mm-mm.
So you can talk all of that nonsense. When I get in, I'm gonna do this. When I get in, I'm gonna do that. And first of all, you can't just do it on your own. You got a whole bunch of other people that gotta approve it when you say that's what you want to do. I'm just saying. So this thing is multi-layered. And you can't just say, oh, we got to vote. Yeah, we do have to vote. But even in your town, let me tell you something. I live in a townhouse. And every time this darn association say something, they know they don't even want to hear from me no more. Because I'm that chick. I'm that chick. You're not going to tell me what to do on my deck. Because I will go around and take the pictures.
Diva at the front of the neighborhood pitching with her pitchfork.
That part. I will go take a picture of everybody's deck and say, why are you complaining about mine? Well, mine looks
That's
better.
right.
Come on now.
That's right. I do the same thing. That's right.
Diva, so let me ask you this, and I'm not saying this like sarcastically or trying to argue. So, okay, I get what you're saying about the voting. You're saying it's important, but there's other things. What would you say those other things are?
She said the other things were having people in place up under you to make sure that the policies that you're asking for go through. Because if you don't have the people up under you, aka President Obama, he didn't have the people up under him to be able. He didn't have the House or the Senate.
But that's still voting.
Everybody.
That's right.
But the point is, Emmanuel, we as a society, we voted those people into the House and to the Senate. But most people don't do local voting. Those are local votes that you have to do in order to send people to the House and to the Senate. Because most, and this just from my experience, most Black people don't locally vote. So they miss out on the important votes. But then when it's time to vote for a president, you go vote for the president. But without the local people up under him who support their policy
agenda,
their agenda, you're not going to get nothing to go through. So that's what Diva was saying. I completely understand what she was saying. And does that help better explain it, Emmanuel? She wasn't saying don't vote. She was saying make sure that you're voting in the people locally, so that when it comes to the president voting or whomever we're going for, they can make sure those agendas go forth that we're looking for.
In Emmanuel, you got to raise the people up that want to go into politics that have that mindset too, right? So it's like we get these, and then again, everything in life is a money game. That's just true. Point blank in a period. You know, and so people want to avoid that too. People want to act like, oh, money is evil, rich people are evil, this and that. It's a money game. Almost everything you want to do, money is going to trump everything. You know that when you go to the house, Royaire. I mean,
and if we be honest, that's why Trump really got in, because he had the money to buy out all of these networks, to advertise what he wanted. He had all these people given to his campaign. Yeah. I mean, but he had the people in place to do what he wanted, point blank, period. And
the
that's
rich
what Diva's
people
point
contributed to his campaign, even though he didn't really need it, and he spent it how he wanted to. But it's and I encourage everyone to look up Citizens United, where you could put all this money into politics. Is actually that is the root of the problem of how come we can't get the homegrown people that really support our issues to be politicians, because it costs so much money and it has to be donations. And us people in the community that's living our everyday lives don't have $2,000 to contribute to campaigns to the people that really support our issues. So Citizens United is the reason why it is so much money in politics to be able to become a politician, and it's foul. And I mean, until we get money out of politics, it will never support the homegrown folks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this, Diva. Just out of curiosity, do you watch The View?
Very rarely.
Oh, okay. Then you won't get what I'm saying. But do you know the chick named Sunny?
Yes, I do.
I watch The View all the time. I don't know what's going to happen.
What's that man's name? The black man who's running for president for the Republican.
Tim Scott.
Tim Scott was on the show, and he was basically saying kind of like what you were saying, like, you know, if you really work hard, regardless of whatever, you're going to make it. And Sonny was saying that's not true, and you are an exception. What would you say to someone like Sonny?
I think it's false.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let me tell you something. Consistency in the thing
Look at Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry is one.
That's true. Oprah, Candy.
Oh yes, consistency in anything that you want to do. Listen, my son's basketball coach told him one time, consistency will beat talent every time.
Mm-hmm.
Every time. You can have somebody that has a whole bunch of talent, but they're not consistent, and you will have somebody that's consistent and persistent, and they will win every time. Every time. I told Royaire all the time, we speak all the time, literally all the time. And I told him, I believe in you stay the course and the bubble is going to burst.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to stay the course. A lot of people, you know, there's this true story. The girl wanted to swim around the world. I'm going to try to find the story and bring it up for y'all the next time we go live. She wanted to swim around the world or something like that. She had people like was swimming behind her and just making sure like nothing happened to her, whatever the case may be, right? She literally was feet away because she couldn't see. She was feet away from her destination and gave up.
I remember that.
And gave up. Okay. And then I think she went back and did it again and finished. But the first time around, she was feet away from her destination and she gave up. I promise you this. If you want to play basketball and you don't have a clue on how to play, but if every day you go out there and you practice, there's nobody in their life that has ever kept practicing every day and didn't become great. I promise you that. So I do not believe by any means that if you kept the course, that man is 100% right. Sunny is off. She's wrong. Believe in yourself. Mustard seed faith. If you keep the path, the bubble's going to burst. And you're going to see yourself manifest everything that you want. But you know what people like to do, Emmanuel? The man kept me down. I can't do it. They stopping me. They blocking me. This, that, and the other. I want to go around and get final words because I'm about to close out. But I want to say this. People complain all the time. When I grew up in the Bronx, and the local stores, they call them the bodegas.
Yeah.
They had the Chinese store, all of that, right? People used to love to swear all the time. Oh, they came over here. They get grants. They take it from us. This, that, and the other. Did you want this store? Did you want to own this store? Did you try to go own this store? Were you willing to let 20 of your family members stay in one apartment so that y'all can get a store? No, they were not. Nobody can take what you wasn't even trying to get. So we love to have this complaining spirit. They, them, this, that, the other. I'm going to tell you 10 toes down. I was never the smartest chick in my classes. Never, ever. Probably if there was a graduating class of 200, I might have been 199 or 198, but guess what? I graduated. I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. You understand what I'm saying? but I graduated because that's the spirit that I had. And you know, when I had a personal trainer, he said, "You're not on the couch. Don't worry, you here. You doing it. The point is you're not on the couch. Maybe you're not gonna be like that chick over there doing 200 squats, but you're not on your couch." So we're so concerned. This world, we got this spirit of we gotta be number one. We gotta win. I gotta get the trophy, the number one prize. See, I'm good with being in the race and finishing the race. Now, if I finished number 200 out of 200, guess what? I still was in the race. So yes, anything that you want, you can achieve. Now, let me tell you this real quick, and then I'm going to come around for final words with this YouTube game. Every day, I call a number of subscribers. Now, do I hit that number that I want? Nope. Do I care? Nope. And every day, I never get discouraged. I call a number above the number that I even think is possible in my reach. You can ask Royaire. I swear to you, I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, because it fears I can't do that.
Every day, I thank God for each and every one of the subscribers that come here. Every day, I thank God for everybody that come on this panel with me. I got a vision in my head, and I'm not going to get discouraged because the vision is not popping up 2 seconds after I turn on my YouTube channel. God spoke to me. I know he spoke to me, and I'm going to see it come to pass. But you got to do the work. I can't be at my couch with my feet crossed, not doing a video or coming to speak to y'all, and then be like, God, where's my subscribers? So yes, I wholeheartedly believe if you want to be a lawyer, you could be a lawyer. I don't care if you had a half a parent. I don't care what circumstances you were born in. It don't dictate nothing. Now, my mother didn't have no money to send me to school. I went to the community college. Then I went to the university. Then I went back and went to nursing school, and I went and got my master's degree. What do you want? You can have it, but you got to put in the work. Now, I'm going to go around and close this thing out. I love y'all. Y'all done took us over a whole beaten path. Y'all done took us over a whole beaten path. We was talking about dear mama, but you know what? His mama was political.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
They believed in both her and Tupac, believe in the rising up of the people. And I'm just telling y'all we can't do it. Dustin, what are your final words?
My final word is sorry I was quiet, but I was listening into your conversation, and I love you very much, Diva, and we'll be here tomorrow.
All right, thank you, Dustin. In my opinion, what are your final words?
I don't have none.
Okay. All right, in my opinion. Emmanuel, what are your final words?
My final words are I agree with you. I think anything you set your mind to is possible because that's what the word says. You know, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. But I also want to be realistic that this country, the system, I'm not saying it makes it impossible, but I do think it makes it a little bit harder for certain people. And I do think there are laws and things, and I think there are certain people who will always feel superior to other groups, but I get what you're saying. I'm gonna have to think about it because
I
it's a
want
lot.
to marinate in your soul. You know why, Emmanuel? We can't say all things are possible through him who we believe, but then on the flip side, say, "Oops, I can't do that." Let me just add this to you, all right? My mother and you know, listen. I grew up in apartments all my life. My mother bought her home in her later age. So my mother owns a home. My mother lives like 15 minutes away from me. My mother told all of us, you can live in my home forever until you get the money to buy your own home. Listen, I tell y'all, I keep it 100 with y'all, you know, and you know why I keep it real too? Because I want people to be able to connect, to know you can do it too. That's why I don't come up here and try to be a fraud and say this, that, and the other. Literally, can I tell
Bianca, you should be afraid to come to Alabama. You should be afraid to come to Mississippi too.
let me
Did we lose Diva, y'all?
Oh yeah,
Oh no.
I thought it was just
She's
mine.
about to give us the good word.
Yeah.
Mm, well,
Oh,
Diva.
there she is. There she is. There she is.
okay,
Can
there
you
you go,
hear
there you
me?
go.
Okay, I'm gonna hurry up because I did see it spinning. I barely had any money to put down on my house. I put down the bare minimum. I promise. When I tell my story, I be telling my friends I put down $1. Okay. Listen, I'm telling y'all the truth. I barely had it. And let me tell you, my lawyer, because she didn't know how I was gonna pay my mortgage. Okay. She was scared for me. She said a prayer in that darn, and when you sign in on the papers and you switch the keys and yada yada yada, she said a prayer for me, and she whispered in my ear saying, I'm praying for you. Okay, I knew what she was scared of, but you know what? I had mustard seed faith. I never missed a mortgage payment, and I never missed a maintenance fee. Okay, never. God has kept me through it all. Mustard seed faith. It's possible. You can do it. Leo, your final thoughts.
And to kind of piggyback on what you just said, throughout my half a century here, I'm gonna tell y'all something about will, right?
Yes, yes.
I have willed things into existence because I knew, because this is saying, if it's meant for me, it's meant for me.
Yes.
And nobody can't take it away from me. And you know why? Because I willed it into existence. I worked, I plotted, and when I say I plotted for my first house. I plotted that thing to the T, right? And got it. So I'll say in this life, yes, there is the thing about you may not be in a circumstance and you may have many wins against you in your back for you to succeed. But if your will is strong enough, and if it's for you, can't nobody take it from you.
Yes.
It belongs to you.
Amen.
And I do believe in this life that you can accomplish things that others may say that you can't, or either people around you may say that you can't, that you can. And I can appreciate the fact that Emmanuel is saying, look, y'all said some things, Diva, and I'm going to think on what you said. Yeah. There are obstacles. I will repeat this. People in life, you have things that is your problem and your problem alone. Obstacles that will have to be overcome. It is the way of life, y'all. It is the way of life. It can be race, it can be gender, it can be finances, it can be education. There are things in this life that are obstacles, but in this country, there is an opportunity to overcome those obstacles.
Amen.
It is those opportunities to do that.
It is.
So I'll say my final words is, if it's something that you believe in, that you believe that is possible, even if you believe that the community ain't bringing enough, be the person that's going to bring it. For you and yours.
Come on. Amen. Amen.
Be the person that's going to bring it.
Yes. Amen. Royaire, your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are, we are supposed to be of the world, not in the world. And so, as you said, we got to manifest what we want for ourselves and press forward. So things will never be fair. Things will never be exactly the way we think they should be. But as long as we are living of the world and not in the world, everything's going to work out for our good. And for my final thought on the Dear Mama, excellent job to the producer, to those who came through and spoke, on behalf of Tupac and their thoughts of Tupac. It just really took a lot for me to go home and think about. There's a lot for me, to really consider. And tonight's panel was excellent. Thank you, Diva, for allowing us the platform to be open and speak our minds. And tonight was a great night.
It was, definitely was. Y'all know I love y'all. Okay. We leave the feelings on the table, okay? We leave the feelings on the table, and we'll see you next time. Listen, thanks, everybody. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye,
Keep hitting the
everyone.
like button.
Hit the like button on
Hit
your
the
way
like
out.
button.
Bye, guys.
Under 2 hours. Bye.
Ah!